This is a historic bow. It doesn't have a safety catch. You pull the trigger and you hold the trigger down until the nut has finished spinning. If it shoots to the left, you move the whole bow to the left. If it shoots to the right, you move the whole bow to the right. Hi, it's Todd from Todd's Workshop and Todd Cutler here, and today we're going to talk about you getting your new crossbow. Whether it's made by me or made by somebody else, an awful lot of this is going to be useful to you. I'm obviously going to bias it towards my products because I make these. It's also going to be applicable to other ones from other companies. So listen in, see what you can learn from it. So the first thing you need to know is these things are powerful. They're not powerful like a modern crossbow is powerful. They're just completely different beasts. These are medieval crossbows, medieval technology, medieval materials. They are not carbon composites. They will not deliver bolts at 400 feet per second. But they will deliver nice, heavy, chunky wooden and steel bolts at 160, 170 feet per second, something like that. That's what you're going to get out of this. So it's dangerous. It's dangerous to human beings. The first thing, before you even load this for the first time, good range practice. And if you don't know what I mean by that, go and find out. Go find some YouTube videos and learn. The second thing is, they can hurt you. So you need to know how to deal with it. This is where the string travels, here. Don't put your fingers above that bit, either when you're loading it or when you're actually shooting it. So the first thing is, learn your way around the bow. So we have the string here. That comes back to the nut. So this component here. And that is what holds the string in place. The trigger is what releases that nut. So that's what shoots the bow. So you pull that, the nut will then just spin. But the thing is, these are not modern computer designed bows. Things will wear. So you need to keep an eye on what's going on. You need to feel this bow. So what you need to do is when you shoot it for the first time, it's left my workshops, it works well. But that might not be true after 500 or 1,000 shots. Things wear. So if the trigger starts to feel different, start to inspect the nut. So this part here will wear away. And in fact, if we just look, you can see how it's worn. It's an old one that was returned back. Possibly through damage, possibly through massive shooting. But that can cause a hair trigger. You don't want that. So the best way to avoid that wear is that when you shoot it, you pull the trigger and you hold the trigger down until the nut has finished spinning. If that nut comes around and clips the trigger, it just wears everything immediately because these are heavy bits of metal spinning around. So the next stage is, how do you load it? This is a 350-pound bow. Now hardly anybody could load this by hand, and I certainly can't. So we use a device called a goat's foot lever. And it's this thing here. And it's a device, a mechanical advantage that allows you to span this bow relatively easily. So you clip it on, making sure that it is central to the string. Because of course, if it's off at one side or the other and the string comes back off at one side or the other, it won't shoot straight. So the nut you want to put into this position here. You can see. And then when I draw this bow back, I put the butt of it into the crease between my thigh and my thorax. That seats the end of it. I pull this lever back and I pull it backwards and I push down. It's really important here to keep your fingers down, because if the trigger fails, it could fail, you don't pull it back enough, it hasn't engaged properly, whatever. Your thumb now is vulnerable because that goat's foot lever could come forward, get shot by the bow, and your thumb's in the way. So keep your thumb down below the deck, you pull it back, it hits the back of the nut, and you will hear when the trigger engages. Nice, positive. But you can see the power now, 350 pounds, I'm holding it on one finger. Goat's foot levers are great. I release the power. And now, when you put the bolt in, don't put your fingers down close to the bottom. Hold it away so the string won't hit it if something fails. Seat the back of the bolt here against the string. Don't leave it floating here. Don't leave it out here. Right against the string. And then, hold it in place and shoot. I've held the trigger down now. You can hear the nut spinning until the nut finishes spinning. What happens if you want to shoot downward? Well, we'll go again. So it goes on, I pull back, hands away from the top deck, I pull backward and down and it's in place. Now this time, I can put my thumb over the top here like this. It's going to get knocked out of the way by the string, but not painfully. So I'll just do it again. You can see now, that's fine. You don't need a spring clip, you don't need a bolt clip to shoot down off the battlements, to shoot down a hill. Just put your thumb on the end. It's really not a problem at all. But then the last time I'm going to show you is the safety catch. This is a historic bow. It doesn't have a safety catch. But you span back. And now, if you jam your hand in the trigger like this, here, the bow cannot discharge. So you can now put your bolt on. And now, when you are ready, you can move your hand from the trigger into the shooting position. Simply done. So you have your bow. You've shot your bow safely because you've kept your fingers off the deck, both during loading and shooting. You know how to use the safety, you know how to set the nut. But what happens if it's not accurate? What happens if it shoots to the left or the right? These have not got sights. They've not got sights like a modern bow has. So it relies on you to sight down the rail, your intuitive natural shooting. But that's not the whole story. Because if this thing shoots to the left, because it might, this is a handmade bow. The balance between one side and the other is not going to be perfect. So what you need to do is you need to adjust the bow. And you do that by striking on the limb tip. If it shoots to the left, you move the whole bow to the left. If it shoots to the right, you move the whole bow to the right. What I do not want you to do is every time you get it out of the box, every time you get it out of the house, tap it around. You will loosen it and it will all go to heck. It's just do it once. Do it once when you get it. I mean, I do it here in the workshop, so they should come to you good. But do it once, be happy with it, leave it, right? But what you do, you put a tiny mark on the bow, just there, either side, and then you tap it. Don't tap it that way, but tap it, if you like, along the arc. So I tap it with a copper-faced hammer, like this. That's kind of all it needs. It's now moved 1.5 millimeters, so 1/16 of an inch. Just put it back. And it's back where it was, more or less. That difference is enough to make it shoot right or left. You will notice it. Which brings me to my next bow type, because this one is lashed. There's not a lot you can do with it. But the wedged ones, you can adjust a lot easier. Before I show you the different parts of the wedged bow, because it is a little bit different, remember, I make these things. I love making them, I love shooting them, you can buy them off me. So just come down to the site, have a look at it. If you're not interested in expensive crossbows like this, all sorts of Tog Cutler medieval daggers, incredibly budget prices, but really good authenticity. But anyway, these wedged bows are more of a military technology. The lashed ones, like the last bow we shot, definitely for the military as well, but this wedge type was almost exclusively for the military market. So first of all, you take your bow and it comes to you like this, all sort of partially assembled. Put the bow itself centrally. Very often there's a little indicator on the bottom of the bow. It now positions itself like that. And you can just hold it there. And if you have a look at that stirrup, it's just got two little rivets that just hold everything into the right place. You take the smaller of these two anvils and you just put it into the slot, a little fiddly there, and we're in. That one faces forward and you just position it. Then you take the larger of the two anvils and that goes into the back position. And then we have our two wedges. And they go so that the angle on one and the angle on the other go sympathetically, so that when they're in together, they basically make a flat platform. If you fiddle with them before you put them in, you'll understand what I mean. So now you have the wedges and the anvils in this position. Now, first of all, you just take a hammer and you just tap that wedge just lightly. But then you will soon find it starts to push the other wedge out. And so what you need to do is you take your own anvil, a big hammer, and you can hold that behind the wedge and start to drive it in. And then try and keep them a little bit even. But you get the idea. Now these things have to be tight because this is what stops the bow moving. If the bow moves, it won't shoot accurately, it'll be different every time. But it also, this is a really, it's a powerful dynamic object. These will loosen off, and they do loosen off. So in the early days of owning this bow, you will find that they will move, and you have to go back into tightening them. So everything is now tight, nothing moves. But it might loosen off. It might loosen off over time. So what you can do is put a thin sliver of metal, maybe 1 millimeter thick, between the wedges or between the wedge and the anvil, and that spaces everything out a little bit more, allows you to get it all tight again. The real difference between this and the lashed bow is moving it side to side is much, much easier, of course. You can still knock it, but also you can undo the wedges and move it a bit more. Probably one of the reasons it was a military bow. It's easier to dismantle this, easier to look after it, easier to change things, and that's always good in the military context. But here you are. So you know that you need to shoot it safely, you need to look after it, keep an eye on the trigger, make sure things don't move, make sure it doesn't slip. Keep your hands off the top deck, hang on to the lever, do not let go for any reason during loading, and then you pull it back, you load it, you shoot it. You want to shoot downhill? Put your thumb on the back, you'll be just fine. Pick up the bow, set the nut to the forward position, pick up the goat's foot, seat the bow into the crease of your leg, goat's foot on, all the way back, holding tight, releasing the pressure, seating the bolt against the string, keeping the bow slightly lower than perhaps you think, because bolts always rise off one of these crossbows, and shoot. Hold it tight. They kick, but they don't kick backwards, they kick up. Hurts your cheekbone. Gotta hold it down. And all you gun people out there are going, of course that doesn't kick. Well, you know what? It's got 2 kilos of rapidly moving steel at the front. It kicks. So as you notice there, I'm just holding the trigger down, a bit like a safety. I'm now good, holding tight. Shoot. Set the trigger. Back on. So it's quite a rapid bow to shoot. If you want to shoot it kneeling, I'll show you that in a minute. Now the great thing about crossbows is you can shoot them from cover. Great for hunting, great for sneaky warfare. So you can also span this kneeling. And a goat's foot lever bow, relatively fast to shoot. And although this is only 15, 18 metres, relatively accurate. But before you go, don't forget, it's not just crossbows that sell, it's not just t-shirts, they help. Under the Todd Cutler brand, we do budget knives like these, and they are excellent value for money. They are the right sizes, the right shapes, the right styles, and they are proper working knives. Go check the website out, have a look, it will interest you. So that's it. Everything you need to know when you first get a crossbow from me. Thank you.